You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Haunted Histories with your host Penny G. Morgan, right here on Parasearch Radio.
And a very warm welcome to all of you on this quite lovely June evening. How is everyone? Well, I hope. What have you been up to? Keep it clean, people. Keep it clean. Lots of great stuff, I expect. And investigating, reading, researching, and all the other cool things you guys do. Who was listening to Sean's show with the absolutely wonderful Hazel Ford earlier? I do think Hazel is. I can listen to Hazel's opinions on things, and I'm not sucking up. I genuinely can quite happily listen and talk to her for hours because she's a very, very skilled businesswoman as well as being a paranormal enthusiast. And I think anyone who decides to attack her has got a screw loose. But go and check the show out if you didn't get a chance to listen to it. Don't forget it will be up on our new YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to shortly. Now, firstly, sorry about the technical glitch in last week's show. I'm hoping tonight will run a wee bit smoother as I'll be talking with Dawn of Paranormal Phenomena Wales about the very beautiful and slightly haunting not as in haunted, although it is, Margam Castle over in Port Talbot in Wales. But before that, we've got my history bit. And before that, we have the information that I have to give out. Hi, Carly. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully we won't have any problems this week. But I've got to give this information out. If I don't, I get hounded by management in the chat room. In fact, Kerry's just sending me a message on Facebook right now. It's probably to remind me that I've got to mention this stuff. But I haven't forgotten. Oh, no, it's to tell me she's shared the show out. Oh, she's a good one, that one. She's a good one. Anyway, new YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to it, go and do it. Toot sweet. It doesn't hurt, and it means you'll be able to get up to date with everything on there. And there is new content which is going to go on there, which you won't have received on the podcasts. It's going up imminently. And I know this to be true, because I'm working on something at the moment. Well, someone will probably split hairs with me in a second. Not this very moment. As this very moment, I'm talking to you. But you know what I mean. The chocolate factory competition. Unfortunately, there are no rivers of the yummy brown gooey stuff running through this factory. But there is a chance to win 2 tickets to go and investigate the place with our very own Kaz Rooney. Go to the Parasearch page, check out the competition. You've got to be in it to win it, people. Right. You know when you do things and then there are really spooky coincidences to them? There's probably a name for it. It's probably a theory or a research thing that's been done. Someone like Kerry or Ashley or Sarah C could probably help me out here. But I've done it again. Tonight's show, Margam Castle. Well, you'll hear Dawn and I mention that some of the castles, although not strictly a castle in the medieval sense, well, it's history. And one of the things it was used for was a barracks and a kind of training camp for D-Day. And it was actually visited by one General Dwight Eisenhower in the lead up to D-Day. But when did D-Day actually take place? Well, it was on the 6th of June 1944. Yep, 74 years ago today. I swear I didn't plan it. Now, I'd guess that most of you, especially those of you who are fellow history nerds, like myself, would recognise names like Juno, Omaha, Utah Golden Sword. May also know that D-Day, or Operation Overlord as it was officially known, was due to take place on the 5th of June, but was postponed due to fog. Another way of describing the events of D-Day are to say it was to look at it as a combined naval air and land assault on Nazi-occupied France, the biggest one ever. Now, we all know it was ultimately successful, as the war was won by the Allied forces eventually, but it was a long, hard battle that wasn't won in a day, despite how you see it depicted in the cinema. It's the numbers and the preparation for the invasion of Normandy that I think is quite mind-blowing. Not least the setting up of dummy soldiers along the coast of Essex and Kent, which was called Operation Fortitude, to make it seem to the Germans that the imminent invasion was going to take place at Calais, a place that had actually been turned down by intelligence for the attack due to the fact it was very, very heavily defended, as it was the closest part to the British coast. I can't even speak, very sorry. And it was also riddled with rivers, waterways and canals that could have trapped the Allied forces, making it difficult for them to break out. I mean, did you know, for example, that the original plans for D-Day, or Operation Overlord, actually blew out of the window of Norfolk House in London in early 1943, but the man who found them handed them back, saying that his eyesight was too bad to actually read them. It's true, that. True story. I find that quite amazing. It is a bit wow to the day, isn't it, Carly? I genuinely didn't plan this. Anyway, with the powers that be estimating, well, they had estimates for at least 10,000 dead and 30,000 injured. The stakes were very, very high for the biggest amphibious assault ever conducted. And even though the death toll was large, it ran short of the estimations, with around 4,500 confirmed deceased, according to figures by historian and writer Stephen Ambrose, who, if you're into this kind of thing, his stuff is worth reading. When you look at that number, though, I think it was something in the region of about 4,500 to 5,000 confirmed dead, with up to another 5,000 confirmed injured. With troop numbers of nearly 160,000 landing on the beaches on one day, on that day one, combining Canadian, UK and US forces, it's actually amazing in my view that particular number wasn't even higher. Supposedly, Winston Churchill, when he went to bed the night before, turned round to his wife and he said, "By the time you wake up, dear, 20,000 men might have died." Yeah, nobody took it lightly. But the amphibious landings weren't the actual start of D-Day, however. It was preceded by an airborne assault which included the landing of 24,000 Allied troops shortly after midnight. In fact, it is one of these men who was the first reported fatality of D-Day. At 16 minutes past midnight, 6 hawser gliders were dropped above Cabor. Major John Howard was in command of 180 men whose objective was to capture 2 bridges, codenamed Ham and Jam. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, the Benouville Bridge over the Cairn Canal was known as Ham, and the Ronville Bridge was known as Ham, which was over the River Orne. Staff Sergeant Jim Warwick piloted the lee glider, and the Pont du Benouville was later to be renamed Pegasus Bridge, after the emblem of the British Airborne Forces, and the Pont de Ronville renamed Hawser Bridge, after the Hawser gliders. Major Howard apparently said, "We were coming in at 90 miles an hour on touchdown. I suppose that really was the most exhilarating moment of my life. I could see the bridge tower 50 yards from where I was standing. Above all, the tremendous thing there was that there was no firing at all. We had complete surprise. We had caught old Jerry with his pants down." Now, can I just say, I've flown gliders. Coming in at 90 miles an hour is quite quick, and that's on a normal flight when you know what's going on. Anyway, the short battle to take these bridges was finished within 15 minutes, and there were only 2 fatalities on the Allied side. One Lance Corporal Fred Greenhalgh, who sadly drowned when his glider landed in water, and one Lieutenant Den Brotheridge, who was shot crossing the bridge and became the first Allied death of the D-Day landings. His little girl was born just 2 weeks after his death. 2 weeks. Oof. Pause for thought there. The information I have given you is only a mere snippet of what happened on the 6th of June, 74 years ago, today. There is so much more you can learn and examine, and I'm sure at some point in the future I will. I mean, take one Juan Pujol Garcia, who was codenamed Garbo, and was a British double agent who Hitler trusted so implicitly that he was awarded the German Iron Cross for convincing the Nazi leader that the invasion was going to take place in the Dover Strait. You've got one Lieutenant James Doohan, better known as Star Trek's Scotty. He was there. Lieutenant Colonel David Niven, the actor, was part of the second wave landing in Normandy after the 6th, which numbered in total over 800,000 troops. There was one Staff Sergeant J.D. Salinger, who was later found to have been carrying the first 6 chapters of his book. You may have heard of it, Catcher in the Rye, in his backpack when he went onto the beaches. And let's not forget the only woman there. There was a woman there, a journalist by the name of Martha Gellhorn, who was actually the estranged wife of Ernest Hemingway and had been refused permission by the press office to cover the landings. She was so determined to be there, she stowed away on board a medical ship and ran onto the beaches disguised as a stretcher-bearer. She was also one of the first journalists to report from the liberated Dachau concentration camp. How come most of us probably haven't heard of her? Now, whether any of these men have returned to their former barracks at Margam, we don't know. But I will actually be visiting Normandy and some of the beaches this summer for my summer holidays with my family. So I'll definitely let you know if I find anything that you may find of interest. We're going to have a quick break now that we've done my little history bit. But before that, I just want to let you know that when you listen to the interview that I did with Dawn, you'll probably hear a lot of white noise, and this wasn't a problem with the connection. We took quite a few attempts to actually record the interview in the first place, as there were most definitely, ghosts in the wire. But there was what I thought was a man's voice coming through the white noise at some points. Please do tell me when you're listening, what you think.
Hello, Harry Price here. Good evening. If there's nothing myself and everybody else enjoy here on the other side more is the sit back and relax and listen to Parasearch Radio with its paranormal news, views and reviews from across the UK and beyond. Make sure to find out more about them on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web, whatever they are, to keep up to date with all their broadcasts throughout the week. And I hope you enjoy them as much as we do over here. Hello? Is anybody there?
Yes.
Okay, right, now we're in part 2 of the interview. This is the 4th attempt to record this, because although it's already been spooky enough that I worked out that we're going to be talking about the D-Day landings. The day of the D-Day landings was the 6th of June, and today will be the 74th anniversary of the D-Day landings. But also, this is the 4th attempt of trying to record the interview with Dawn Cummings at Paranormal Phenomena Wales. Please tell me you're there, Dawn.
I am. I'm here this time.
You would not believe the hassle we have had trying to get this interview to record. That every time I go to introduce Dawn, who's still there.
Yes, I am.
Yes, she's still. Yep. Her phone is switching itself off to air, and it's not just switching itself off as in losing signal. It's turning onto aeroplane mode. And what we're also having is an awful lot of white noise and what sounds like panpipes in the background. And in that white noise, if you listen carefully, you can hear a male voice. And it's only me that can hear it. Dawn can't hear it at her end. But she has said that it's not the first time this has happened.
No,
I believe.
Happens all the time.
Yeah. And interesting enough, she just asked me if I've got any police links in my past, and I haven't. The only ever police link I ever had was anyone who remembers me talking about Kelvedon Hatch will know that I had a military policeman who was quite attached to me come through when I was at Kelvedon Hatch, and we think he's trying to talk to me again through Dawn.
Yes.
So
I do.
It's been a bit of a weird, hour and a half we've been trying to record this interview, if I'm honest. It's been a bit strange, hasn't it, Dawn?
It's very strange, extremely strange, but it seems now we've acknowledged that Matthew is there.
Yes.
But we're actually getting a little bit further, so hopefully now he knows that we know he's there and we're going to be able to do this interview.
Well, I hope so. We hope so. Because we weren't sure who it was to begin with. We weren't sure whether it was one of the spirits that hang around Dawn or whether it was something to do with me, but we think it might actually be to do with me, and it might be Matthew, who I actually have got no relation link to. He's not a relation. He was a spirit who made himself known to me at Kelvedon Hatch, and if Mark from Fright Nights is listening, or any of the Fright Nights crew who were there at the time, they'll know exactly who I'm talking about, because I was incredibly flattered that a 22-year-old spirit half my age, was flirting with me. Well, it seems like he's back. So, thanks, Matthew, and I hope you enjoy the show. But the other thing that Dawn has had a lot of experience. She's been to a lot of different places, and I've really enjoyed. We've been talking about some of her experiences, and one of the ones we were talking about was an asylum that she visited. Yes. And we won't talk about which one or anything like that because it was a little bit of urbexing going on. But you were telling me about the experience you had with your paranormal partner, I suppose, for want of a better term, that you were dreaming that he was being bothered.
Yeah, he was being bothered by a couple. By a couple of spirits. Yeah, and I rang him, and it was right. They were there. They were bothering him, waking him up. I could actually see what he was seeing. And vice versa. He used to ring me and say the same thing if they were with me. So yeah, we're really, really connected with spirits, and if they're bothering me, he will know, and same way. It's happened on lots of different occasions, different places we do. So yeah, it's quite a regular occurrence.
But one of the things we were saying that I sort of said, let's talk about this on the show, because it's something that I do get quite sort of. People seem to, you get your certain American ghost hunters. I'll be honest, and they'll go into an asylum, and they'll say that the spirits are this, they're that, they're demonic. They're because of the way they're trying to. They are banging things. They're not able to. They're sort of growling. All this kind of stuff. But I kind of wonder, in these asylums, surely if the spirit had a mental illness when they died in that, and maybe they couldn't control their rage, or their way of communicating was to sort of get in your face and literally scream at you or bang your bed, or that's how they. Yeah, is that definitely them being quasi? I mean, I'm not sure I believe in demons anyway, but is that them being demonic? Or is that them just trying to communicate in the only language they know how?
I don't think so. The thing is, if there was lots of different levels of mental health in a lot of these asylums. A lot of these asylums, what you've got to think of is like a lot of unmarried mothers were put there. That weren't had mental health problems, but then you've got the others who did, and perhaps they can't speak, and they just want to show you, how they were treated, because a lot of them weren't treated very nicely, or they just sort of, like when we've had it with these spirits, it was just like bumping to wake us up. They didn't do anything. Yes, they showed themselves to be awful, like stereotype sort of dribbling type thing. But I don't think they were evil under anything. They didn't make me feel they made me feel very uneasy, but that, I think, is being woken up at 3:00 seeing people standing by your bed.
Yes.
That's a little bit unnerving. But no, I don't think they are. Like, if I've gone to some places and I feel really horrible feeling, there can be, as in people say, evil spirits, obviously, but as there are in life.
Yeah.
But a lot of these stereotypes, they say, they're giving us a bad negative, the way they're showing themselves. You've got to think what they went through when they were alive. They're just trying to show you doesn't mean to say they're evil, you know. It's just a problem that they had, and a lot of them just want to communicate and show you what they went through. That's what I think. Anyway.
I agree. I work on the principle, shitty in life, you'll be shitty in death. That doesn't necessarily make you a demon.
No.
And as you were saying with the asylums, yes, I mean, this is something I'm actually, my latest blog talked about how we're trying to almost, from a historical perspective, we seem to be wanting to eradicate asylums and workhouses from history. We don't seem to want to acknowledge. And although when we look at today's eyes on how people were treated in asylums, it's abhorrent. Yeah. In those days, that was actually the best they could do because they didn't know any better. So, and even though, you know, I think it's awful that, you know, in say the 1950s, a 16-year-old with a baby could be chucked into an asylum by only needed, I think, 2 signatures to go into one, and needed something like 9 to be released, or something astonishingly bad like that. And if those women weren't mad when they went in, they were certainly mad by the time they were released. And I know that for fact.
Yes, right. I know it is right, because I know a relative of mine, not that far back, but quite far back. She actually could do what I could do, see spirit, talk to spirits and everything. Yeah. And when she was 14, I think it was, she was actually sectioned into an asylum because they said that she was hearing voices. Yeah. And she was allowed out, I think, when she was about 18, and she never spoke about it again because they thought that she was mad because she was seeing. And I think to myself, my God, you know, if it was still the same now, I'd be in an asylum.
Well, 300 years ago, you'd have been burnt at the stake.
Yeah, it's one of those my relatives as well, funny enough.
So yeah, it's. I know it from. I haven't got any family members who went through it, but one of my best friends is a mental health nurse, and one of the elderly ladies she calls on was one of those. She was released into the community when the whole care in the community thing started, and the big mental health hospital she'd been living in was shut down, and she found out from her that at 16 or 17 her parents had basically put her in the asylum because she'd got pregnant, and when she finally came out sort of 70 years later, she was mentally ill. She couldn't, but she'd been absolutely fine at 16, 17, and it was but then again, and as that is bad, and we have to learn from that, but these places, for some people, it did save their life. I mean, I think I'd have rather been put into one of those than locked in my parents' loft.
Yes. And
not been fed and not been.
It was just a time, wasn't it? They had different ways. This day and age is totally different. Yeah. You know, so when you go to these asylums, when you go to these hospitals and everything, you know, a lot of these places, they get the stereotypes supposed to be mental health patients, but a lot of them were not. No. You know, it was so many different things they were put in these places, and it is very sad. Yeah. And learn from it now. Yeah. But I don't think a lot of spirit is like that at all. You know, you do get a lot of people, a lot of teams, and you know, I won't mention anybody, but everybody's evil. Everyone's evil, and they're all done this, and and it's just, you know, I always respect the spirit, always, you know, and sometimes I do get sworn at, and I will say to them, well, I won't speak to you like that, you know, that type of thing. But I don't think, you know, just because it's an asylum, you can't have that stereotype, and you can't, and it's
I
wrong.
Don't think you can. Do that. Yeah, so, I think a lot of them just they just want human contact. They just want like any human would. And I would say I'm a big. I read the stories of things that happen in the workhouses and the asylums, and it's like with everything. You only ever hear about the negatives that happen there. You don't hear about the fact that these places actually did save some people's lives. Yeah. If these places hadn't existed, and even when you go even further back, when you look at the whole Bedlam, like the Bethlehem Hospital, where the word Bedlam came from. And you think it's bad. It was a freak show. People used to pay to go in and see these people in the 15 and 1600s. But when you look into the reasons why they did that, they had no funding to look after these people. And so it was a way of getting donations, because nobody would want it to be seen in their accounts that they were bequeathing money to the mad people. But to say, I'm going to go and have a look at them, and paying, threepence or whatever it was, that's what helped keep these people safe. And it was, even though you can look at it with, this is disgusting, it was a freak show.
Yeah, but there was no money there. People weren't like nowadays. You're given money if you had no money, if you're ill and everything. But those days, you didn't. So
Nothing.
for them to be in that type of place, it would be better to have that because they're being actually looked after.
They've got a
really.
roof over their heads. They are being given food and water, and although treatment has come on in leaps and bounds, it was the start of it. So I'm one of those people. I mean, this is what my blog was about. Like, you know, we shouldn't always look at these things as being. We should look at them. We learn from them, but look at them with those eyes as opposed to today's eyes. But it's also, it comes back to, you know, if a spirit's communicating with you by hitting you, or if you've ever been around, and we were talking about this earlier as well, if you've ever been around a person with additional needs, you will know that hitting you is sometimes their way of communicating. You will know that them going ah at you is their way of saying, can you please listen to me? They don't process things the same way as other people. So it might just be that certain investigators are better predisposed to deal with that because they kind of aren't going to be upset by it. They're going to understand it. I don't know.
Maybe. I think it is a stereotype thing as well with a lot of people. You know, and if you don't know anybody with certain mental health problems, even like, you know, young children and like I said, my children, they had ADHD and other various problems. And, you know, I haven't got a door in the house that hasn't got a hole in because that's what they do. And in those days, they would have been doing the same type thing, you know, but it is, I just think people have got a stereotype. And of course that ends up then when you've got a spirit and you're going to these places, you've got people who think they're stereotyping, you know, they're this awful, evil people. And they weren't at all. They were just ill.
Probably one or two of them were.
Oh, God, yeah.
So it's got to be. There's got to be, but not all of them. Not all of them at all. No, I agree with you there completely.
But that's like life, isn't it? You know, you've got people who live in, you know, who are absolutely, as I class, evil people, you know. So, you know, you're going to get them in spirit, but, you know, I do think a lot of people think of them as stereotype, but then you get that in life as well. You know, so.
I agree. What I said, shitty people in life, shitty people in death.
Yeah,
it's always going to happen. It's always going to happen. Now, looking at some of the places you've invested, we've been chatting about some of the different places that you've been in. In fact, how long have you been sort of working as a professional medium for, Dawn?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've always done it from a child. It's natural. It's something I've done. And of course, when the children were little, I couldn't really do much, but it's only the last couple of years. It's only a hobby, you know. It's sort of because I'm not very well myself, so you know, I just help other teams, and we've got our own team as well, and it's just interesting. And we've been to lots of different places. You know, we've done a lot of outdoor ones. We've actually had Margam Castle in Bridgend. We had some absolutely fantastic stuff going on. Amazing. We actually had an EMF meter on a table, and we were stood in a circle, and we were away from the tables and nobody was touching it, and it actually spun in front of us, which doesn't sound much, but it was absolutely amazing. We were jumping up and really amazed by it. It was amazing.
It's one of the things I try and say to people if they've never done an investigation. Don't watch your Ghost Adventures and all that kind of thing. They're interesting, but that's like 45 minutes of 10 hours worth of investigating condensed to get what it seems like active centre, you know, active central sort of thing. But when you're actually on an investigation and you're in that mindset, the discreet stuff that happens, the subtle stuff that happens, that's what blows your mind, because you start to realise it's not, you know, it's not like The Exorcist. It's not like, you know, those.
Well, this is what we say. We do say to people, you know, please don't think it's like certain shows on TV. It's not like that. If we get one thing in a night, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, so, and that's what we try and say to people. Like we sit in a dark room and say nothing, and hear the tap in to a yes answer or no. You know, those type things.
Yeah.
Are you know, to me, I don't think it's brilliant because they are communicating in little subtle ways. You know, so.
I'm just saying the meter spinning. Knowing how subtle things can be, that is pretty
Oh, we missed it on the video. I was gutted.
Always the
Gutted.
way, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always the way. They seems like they're waiting for you not to be looking or not to be playing your recorder. They go, right, I'm doing it now. I'm camera shy. Yeah, right.
And we've tried it so many times to try and get it with the video. Nah, can't do it again. And it's just like, really?
Yeah. No, trust me. I've been there. Voices disembodied voices, just when you're not turned the recorder on, things like that, and it's just like, oh.
And it's just like they know you haven't got a recording, so we're going to do this.
Yeah, glasses moving on the table just when you turn the camera off. Yeah, oh yeah, been there. Yeah. So, have you ever done an investigation that's actually really unnerved you?
Oh, I've done a couple of places that have unnerved me, but because I'm so used to it, I'm trying to think of somewhere that really unnerved me. I've done the woods, which I later found out was actually the prisoners of war planted all the trees.
Yeah.
And I hated it.
Really?
I hated it. Yes, because as we're going through the woods, there's like lots of gravel, and I was with Matthew then, and he was sort of like, this is brilliant, because you could hear footsteps behind you, and of course it's getting darker and darker. Oh, I got to be honest, I think that might have been the worst place. I think I was so. Yeah.
Is that in Wales?
It's in just outside my stag in Bridgend. It is.
Right.
And that's what we found out. It was prisoners of war were there.
Yeah.
And you could actually hear the boots. You know, like if marching.
Yeah.
And gravel, and I could hear it so loud, and it was like they would stamp behind me, and then I'd screech, and they must have thought that was so funny. And
that's interesting though, because most POWs who were POWs here said they had a good experience. They actually, I mean, so many Italians, especially in Essex, because we had quite a lot of camps in Essex. They stayed. They liked the British so much, they stayed. They actually, and if you go up to there's a POW camp museum in North Yorkshire called Eden Camp, and they've got letters from the prisoners, for want of a better term, and most of them have sort of said that they were respected, they were treated well, you know, they were treated as soldiers, not enemies.
No, they were nasty, but it was just, you can imagine, it's pitch black, you're walking through the woods, and all of a sudden you can hear this stamp of feet as if they're marching.
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, they weren't being horrible at all, but it's just, you could hear that march. Oh, no, I got to be honest, I think that's one of my worst.
Okay.
I just couldn't say that. I didn't know. I was like, oh, and Matthew's laughing at me going, you're supposed to be a psychic medium. I said, yeah, I know, but...
I'd have pulled.
So,
I'd have pulled in there. No, my history of military men.
Yeah, you'd have been fine, you would have. You'd have been in there. You'd have been in there. You'd have been fine.
Oh, I would have been busy. I'd have been busy in there, probably. Yeah.
Really
so,
busy.
Is there a place, though, that you like to go because you've got a spirit that always wants to talk to you when you go? Like a resident spirit that sort of welcomes you in, if you get what I mean.
Well, I've got where I'm actually from. The house I lived on was actually a monk's graveyard,
Nice.
which we didn't realise at the time. And when I'd been very, very young, my mother used to say, because she used to say I was a weird child because I'd sort of talk to nobody, as she'd say, and I used to keep telling her about this man in a cloak, and I'd say to the man in the cloak's back, and things like this. And we then found out, because my dad was digging the garden, found the tokens that the monks used to use.
Wow.
It's actually part of St Ilta's Church, which is one of the biggest churches in Wales. And the monks were actually part of this church. And our garden was one of the graveyards for them. Wow. And the monk I kept seeing, he used to tend the garden as if that's what he'd done when he was alive. And do you know, I can go down to my old house and I can still see him, and he'll still walk towards as if he recognises me. And a friend of ours took a picture of the of the house, and it's changed quite a lot. People have built on it now because it was a big garden and now it's been built on. But you can still see the shadow. There's a shadow of somebody walking through the garden.
Wow.
And there I feel quite, because I've known him I know him, you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
It's like I've known him since a young child, and he's still there. And I still see him when I go back to the old house. So it's not so much an investigation, but it was where I'm from, you know. So
well, that's quite a nice segue into Margam Castle, because obviously Margam Castle, at the bottom of the gardens are the ruins of a 12th century abbey, which are pretty impressive, and I've looked at them on the sort of YouTube and people who've sort of posted stuff on there, and they're absolutely beautiful. So even though Margam Castle itself isn't actually a castle in the sort of medieval terms, it was built in the it was a Gothic sort of mansion that was built with a kind of the architect, I believe, had free reign to make it as Gothic and as fantastic as he liked, and it was built in sort of 1830 to 1840. So it's not the house itself isn't mega old by British standards, but the site it's on has got beautiful energy, I guess, going back hundreds.
See, I get a lot more energy on the grounds.
Right.
I'll be honest, I've done a couple of investigations there now, and yes, I pick up a lot in the house, but I actually picked up quite a lot on the ground, you know, when we go down to the ruins and around the orange, you know, I picked up different things there. And I try, because when I'm working with other teams, you know, we don't go outside very much. There's so much times I think, oh, you know, I've walked around there, you know, just on the day out. In fact, I was there the other day because I was giving leaflets out because we're doing the FearCon. August 11th. And so we were giving the leaflets out, and as we were walking, there was me and Matthew, and we were walking through the ruins and that, and we were picking stuff up then, you know, we were picking up the monks, and I did have, there is a monk that I'm not going to say evil because that's not the way to say it, but it seemed like he was a very angry person, let's put it that way. He's of like, he doesn't want you there, but then I suppose, you know, women wouldn't have gone into these places, so maybe, you know, that's the type of thing.
It could also have been he's angry at the fact his monastery was destroyed.
Yeah, it could be lots of different things. Yeah,
you know, I'd be pretty darned angry if I'd been a religious person and seen my beautiful. These places were absolutely stunning, destroyed because of a king who basically wanted to be able to get divorced and made himself the head of the church. You know, I can kind of understand why they wouldn't be happy for many reasons. Yeah,
and you two very angry, and it's like he wants you to know how angry he is, you know, about something. But obviously I haven't connected properly with him at the moment because he's quite standoffish a little bit. So I'd like to try it a few times and go back down and just see if I can connect with him, but he's very standoffish. But he's in there. So and there's so much going on all over the castle, really, because the grounds are so big. You know, you pick up lots of different things. You know, everybody thinks it's just inside, and it's not.
You don't need to be. No. I mean, what you said about the woods, picking up stuff in the woods. Yeah, you can be on the grounds of a place, and there's. I mean, the only problem is if you do an actual formal investigation, when you're outside, you're a lot more likely to get noise contamination. It's a lot harder to prove that the light that you may see isn't a reflection from something else. And
animals as well, haven't you? You know,
so I can understand why people sort of tend to gravitate towards, especially when it's public who are paying for something, to somewhere where you can lock the doors and know that nothing can infiltrate, so to speak. But as you say, just going there during the day, you don't have to go somewhere at night at 2:00 in the morning to pick up on stuff or to hear stuff or to find stuff. It can be at 10:00 in the morning.
Yes. I know people think about the dark, you know, you're doing ghost hunts in the dark, and do we need the dark? We don't need the dark.
No, you
but
don't.
I think it's the atmosphere. And the other thing is I do find when it's dark, everything's quieter and you can seem to hear more. So maybe that's why Not all ghost hunts are in the dark, but you don't have to do it in the dark.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
So you pick up. It doesn't surprise me that you pick up stuff around where the monastery, the abbey was, because the energies that would have gone into that, what happened during the dissolution of the monasteries, what you know, the passion that these men would have felt for their job, vocation, whatever you want to call it. It was all encompassing. So to see their beloved buildings destroyed, some of them, to see their abbots murdered, and some of the abbots were, I think it was the abbot, I know the abbot at Fountains Abbey in Leeds was murdered by Henry's men because he wouldn't give up the abbey's riches to them. To see these kind of things happen would have caused them a lot of pain, a lot of anger, a lot of anguish.
Yeah, definitely.
And I can understand them wanting to still be there, still go about their daily sort of rituals, because it was ingrained into them to do it. So have you picked up on any other monks?
There's been a couple of different ones, and if you go at the back of the Margam Castle, there's actually is another building, and I'm sure that's part of the monastery there. Up there's a few bits and pieces going on. I haven't actually been there to actually do an investigation, but we've walked by there. There's a lot. I've had the monks, quite a lot of the monks, and got obviously this anger feeling. But I remember being there one day, and I could actually hear the music, which was really, it's lovely, the most gentle, beautiful sound, as if they were, you know, when they used to do their praying and they used to make that sound, and
it's
they
like
got
a
the
choral
bells.
chanting sort of.
Oh my God, it's absolutely stunning. And I had it, and that was lovely. So it's those type things I've picked up. You know, just by walking around and just little things. And I did pick up a blacksmith on the grounds. I did pick him up, and he actually came in to the actual Margam at one point when we were doing an investigation. But he's a blacksmith, from what I could see, what he was wearing. So I had him as well, which then I suppose you would have had those, wouldn't you?
You would have done, and even if there was like ironworks on the castle, like wrought iron fencing, any of that, the blacksmith would have made that for it as well. I mean, I
quite a strong spirit he is. He wants, like, I know most people haven't spoke about him, but I picked him up quite strong, and so did Matthew, funnily enough. He picked him up quite strong, and because he actually showed himself as this quite a big bloke with like this leather pinny type thing, very sweaty, very dirty. You know, and he was sort of like showing as if, you know, that's what he done all day. You know, he was that thing. But he's quite strong. But he's on the grounds as well as inside. To, you know. So, sorry, 2 seconds. So, there's lots going on. So outside as well.
So inside Margam, I mean, it looks beautiful from the outside. It does look absolutely stunning. How does it feel? Does it feel like you're welcome there, or does it feel quite cold? Or
I think it depends what part you go to.
Right.
Like going through, I know everybody goes on about Robert on the stairs, and yes, I do feel he's on the stairs, and sometimes he doesn't want you there, but I don't think it's that awful feeling that you've been told about. You know, it's a case of, you know, what are you doing here type thing. And yes, he's got anger because obviously he was murdered.
Who's this?
Robert, the gamekeeper.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, he is on the stairs, definitely. He does go up and down the stairs. But people say, you know, he's so angry, he'll push you down the stairs. And I haven't had that. But we've had his presence there, and he has got angry, you know, but, you know, what happened to him. But I've got a lady on the stairs, over. Now, I'd done a drawing of her, and it, from what, we've got a friend, she's a historian, Emma, and what we normally do is if I pick something up and everything else, she'll go back and see if she can find it.
Yeah.
I picked up this lady, and I kept seeing her in this blue, beautiful dress. And there was also a little girl who had ringlets, these big ringlets. Now, she was quite like, oh, coming in. Do you know what I mean? It was like very nice, coming in up to her home type thing. And the little girl, because I actually had her name, but there was a confusion because I kept saying her name was Bertha. And she kept saying to me, Bertha. But what they found was her name was Elizabeth Bertha, but it was like she wanted to be called Bertha, not Elizabeth, you know, which thing. So I had her, but then there's another part of it which I didn't like at all. It was awful. And that is another part of it we went up to, and it was like they'd done, I should say, rituals. So everyone goes on about witchcraft and that. It was rituals. It wasn't witchcraft, but children were there, and it was just a horrible feeling. I didn't like it at all, as if they'd done these things that we definitely wouldn't do now, you know, these ritual type things that went on there. But most of it was quite nice, if I'm honest. Yeah. You know, it. And then that's the other one. The other part of it, we had this beautiful smell of like lavender or something. And as you walk in, it goes, and then it will just come back, and it's as if someone, a spirit is walking back and forth. Yeah. And you can smell this lovely smell, and because those used to use like lavender water and that, didn't they? Yeah. It's perfume. Yeah, and you can smell it. It is so strong, and yet you can go in there another time, you won't smell it at all. And I did actually speak to somebody who works there, and they said, yeah, he said it happens all the time. This smell, I said, it's a gorgeous smell. I said, it smells like lavender. So, and you can hear the brush, you know, like a big crinoline dress would. You can actually hear that as if they're walking in it, but. Yeah, I think it's only one part I didn't like, if I'm honest. I got the heebie-jeebie type. Oh, I didn't like that bit. But most of it's quite nice.
So which part didn't you like?
Right at the... as you go up the stairs, there's a room right at the back. It's all changed now, because it used to have paintings of children and that on ceiling. And I kept picking up... a child hanging in that room, and apparently the child did hang in the room. That's why they call it the hanging room, which
lovely
is not. Yeah, I don't know. Apparently, that's perhaps why they call it the hanging room. But apparently, rituals and that were done there, and I picked up quite a lot of things they'd done that just wasn't very nice in that room. So I did. That's the one room that gave me the heebie-jeebies. I've got to be totally honest. It was just like, oh. I don't like it.
Because the thing is that the house itself didn't have loads of different families living there. It was basically, was it Mansell was one of the main people who lived there, Christopher Rice Mansell, and he had visitors there. His cousin, I think a chap by the name of Henry Talbot, who was actually one of the 4 founding fathers of Port Talbot. His cousin, who was a photographer. Who used to take a lot of photos there. But then after Mansell died, it was his daughter Emily who took over, and then she died unmarried in 1918 and passed it to, I think it was her nephew or something like that, Captain Andrew Fletcher. So, you know, it wasn't like there's masses of families. It had changed hands. So
I think what people forget though is sometimes we can pick up what was on the land before. Yeah. There, you know, so even though this room, as someone told me, it was the hanging room, and I did see the child there, it doesn't mean to say it's actually happened in that house. It could actually be the land, you know, because you know you go to somewhere and it's so old, isn't it? You know, they could be, you know, so ancient back, you know, that you're picking up what happened a long time ago. It just so happened that you're getting it in the room, but it doesn't mean to say it's in that room.
It could have been a Saxon or Celtic, site that's something, And
that's what I say to people, you know, you can go somewhere and, you might pick something up, like I picked up weird things. I'm thinking, why am I seeing that here? And then you find out then, well, the land, you know, so sometimes you're picking up what would have happened before the building was even built, you know. So, but yeah, at that part of the building, I really, really didn't like it. It was a horrible feeling.
But
Really,
in general, the building's got a nice vibe to it.
yeah, it was only the one part, and it was only one room, but yeah, no, I felt it quite nice, quite like, especially with this lady on the stairs. I kept seeing her sort of look over as if she was welcoming you into her home type thing. And the little girl I kept seeing running round. Yeah, no, it's a lovely place. And, you know, all outside, it's absolutely stunning place. You know, it's lovely to go. But,
that white noise is going mad at the moment, by the way.
It's probably thinking, hang on a minute.
I could just hear it talking to it. I'm kind of hoping it's picking up on the recording, so see if anyone hears it and can tell us what they think it's coming through.
He's probably hang on, I've let you talk for long enough without me interrupting.
yeah, it's really ramping up all of a sudden. It's probably going to cut us off again. Yeah. So I know you've mentioned the is it FearCon that you've got coming up? Tell us about that.
Well, the FearCon, Fearless Afterlife are arranging it. It's the 11th of August. It's all day at Margam. And they've got an investigation at night as well. And you can buy the tickets for it, and there's going to be stalls. I'm going to be doing readings there as well, and there's going to be other stalls selling all different things. There's one woman coming with creepy dolls and all weird stuff. And we're actually doing some talks. There's people doing talks on UFOs. There's somebody coming down from Scotland. He's actually got a haunted museum, and he takes artifacts out of people's homes that are haunted. Okay. And he's bringing them down for people to see. There's Lee Steer coming with the bridal doll. Yeah. You know, the one that was on this morning? Well, it's making a full public appearance. So he's coming. Yeah. There's authors coming. It's all different things. So we're all going to be doing little talks. So did you just say something? Because I just had somebody say something to my ear.
I just said awesome.
I just had somebody say something to my ear, and I wasn't sure of that. Yeah.
Matthew, stop it.
No, it's just like, all right. Yeah, so it's going to be lots of things going on. And then the speakers are actually going to be going with the public in the night to do a investigation around the castle as well. Brilliant. So it's going to be really interesting. There's going to be lots of different things, of course, different perspectives on different things, you know, what people are going to talk about. Like, you know, the UFO thing they believe, because I done a talk for them as well, and they actually believe people who are psychic and that, like myself, are part, you know, alien. Do we think that we've, you know, got part alien? So everyone's got different beliefs and different things. So it'll be interesting to hear all the different things that people, you know, think. Yeah. So yeah, I think it'd be a really good day. I do, you know, for anybody to come.
Well, if anyone wants to get over to, it's Port Talbot, isn't it? Margam's in Port Talbot. Yeah. Neath. Yeah. Neath, is that right? Neath.
Yeah.
Is it Neath in Wales?
Yeah, but it's Port Talbot. It is. Neath is quite far. It's Port Talbot. Margam Castle.
Port Talbot in Wales. If anyone wants to go over there, go and find the Fearless Afterlife.
Yeah, if you go on Facebook and put Fearless Afterlife, FearCon, and it'll come, and it's the 11th of August.
Wonderful.
So yeah, I think it'd be amazing. There's just so much going on, and I love to hear other people's perspective on things. Definitely. You know, like, you know, I know what I do, and, you know, I don't know what name to give myself, but I see, hear, feel, you know, all those type of things. Yeah. But then you've got other perspectives, and I think that's so interesting. Like, there's going to be a trance medium there.
Oh, yeah. That scares me. That scares me a bit, trance work. I never wanted to do that. Never. I know a few people who do it.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit nervous of that. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little like, ooh. I feel a little bit, you know, if the spirit's coming through, I feel a little bit violated. That's how I feel.
I'm too much of a control junkie to allow myself to do that. No. Well, it sounds like it's going to be a really interesting event.
I think
So what we'll do is we'll share the link on the Parasearch page as well for the event. We'll get that put on in the next couple of days as well, so people can see it on our Parasearch page. But thank you ever so much for your time, Dawn. I know it's been a bit of a palaver getting this recorded.
Well, he let us talk a little bit longer, didn't he?
He did, didn't he? Bless him. Thank you. Yes, 2 hours it's taken us to get this sorted, like 40 minutes worth of interview. But, you know, we were up for the challenge. We weren't going to give up.
No.
But thanks ever so much. If anyone wants to get in touch with Dawn, go and check out Paranormal Phenomena Wales. Go and give them a follow. Their events that they're doing are listed on there. I'm sure she'll be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, we also help out the groups. If anybody wants any psychic mediums to come along, we also do that as well. So
brilliant,
just give us a shout.
Go and drop her a line and she'll be happy to help. All that leaves me to say is thank you ever so much, everyone, for listening to Parasearch's Haunted Histories tonight. I've been Penny G. Morgan. I'll be with you again next week, but don't forget we have shows on 6 nights of the week, and you can catch them all on our new YouTube channel, and also download them from Spreaker if that's your bag and that's what you want to do. But until next week, all that leaves me to say is thank you for listening. I hope you sleep tight, and don't worry too much about things that go bump in the night.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.